Can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Hello.
yes, yes, I'm going to share. So in the last class, okay, I will be a little bit louder. So in the last class, we have started with the confusion matrix. So basically, we were using confusion matrix in order to quantify the performance of your classifier. So first, we have seen how we can whenever we are going for the prediction. So first thing is your model is predicting something, and in your data set also you know what should be the class label. So the class label and the for your based upon the model you are also performing the prediction. So based upon these information you are summarizing all these information in a form of your confusion matrix. So this row and column, this combination you can change it based upon that combination. The value which you are going to have in a particular cell, it's also going to be different. Like if you are changing this actual class as your column and predicted class as your row, so in that case these value, the true positive, false positive, true negative, false positive, so some of the value are going to change their position. But the performance measure which you are using for quantifying the performance of your classifier, that value is not going to change. That will be same, whatever convention you are using for the representation. So confusion matrix, till this confusion matrix we have completed. Now we are actually going to, in today's class we are going to use this confusion matrix for the quantification. So first measure which we are going to cover is your accuracy measure. So most of the time we are talking about the accuracy of your model. So in case if we are using this confusion matrix to evaluate to quantify the performance of your model in terms of your accuracy, so this accuracy basically defines based upon how many correct out of total prediction, how many correct prediction is there. Like if the class label is positive and you are also predicting positive, so this is your correct classification. And if the class label is negative and you are also predicting the negative, so this is also your correct classification. So your accuracy measure is based upon these two value only. So two value, you can see this is your first value and this is your second value. So the formula for your accuracy measure is going to be your true positive plus true negative divided by total, because here it's a fraction of all the instances which you have classified correctly, whether it's your positive class, whether it's your negative class. So the formula it's going to look like this. Either you can write it this in terms of your a plus d, or you can simply use this true positive plus true negative divided by this total value. So this way we are quantifying the performance of your classification algorithm based upon the accuracy. This is the one of the numerical example which you can see, like here these total number of the instances which we were having. Now out of these total number of the instances, only 426 has been classified correctly. Like 26 were considered as a part of your true positive, and this 400 has been considered as a part of your true negative. So this much you are having correct classification. So it's going to be 400 plus 26 divided by this 400 plus 26 plus 17 plus 7. Okay, so this way so whatever value you are going to get, so this is your basically accuracy. The measures which we are using, whether it's your accuracy measure or other measures which we will be covering in the coming slides, all the measures are going to be in between 0 and 1. So the value, it's going to depend upon means if it is your accuracy measure, so in that case the value which is more closer to your 1, it's going to be the better. Like here in this case it's your 0.94, so that we can if we want to say this in terms of a percentage, so in that case it is going to be 94.66% is the accuracy for your model. Now, next one is the classification error. So, for your classification error, that means how many instances you have classified incorrectly. Like in case of accuracy, we were considering the correct classification. So, this is just the reverse of that. So, here we are quantifying the performance in terms of how many incorrect classification is there. That means the class label was positive, but your model is saying that the class label is negative. Other case the class label is negative and your model is saying that the class label is positive. So in both of the cases the prediction is wrong. So in order to calculate this classification error, we are going to consider these two value, because these two value is only defining the number of the instances which has been classified incorrectly. So it's going to be a 17 plus 7 divided by this total number of the instances. So this is the classification error. Or you can simply go with your 1 minus accuracy. Like suppose if you're having the classification, suppose if you're having 90%, 90 0.90, so for example, so the misclassified is going to be your 1 minus zero point 0.9. So this way you can calculate your classification error. Now, each of the performance measure, which we will covering in the coming slides also, each of the performance measure is having their own advantage and disadvantage. So if we consider the disadvantage with respect to accuracy measure is like the we can't simply quantify the performance of my model, or we can't compare the performance of two different model you based upon the accuracy, because accuracy is good for your balanced data set, but it is not working good for your imbalanced data set. So the meaning of your imbalanced data set, that means one of the class is going to have major portion of your instances and another class is going to have very few number of the instances, but our model should be like, it should able to work for both the classes. That means it should able to identify instances of your class, one class also and the another class also. But in case of your accuracy, it is not considering the information for those instances. Basically it is not incorporating the information for your misclassified instances. If the correct classification is there, then that information only it is going to take. So like here in this case, suppose we are having these number of the instances. Out of these number of the instances, 9990 are a part of this class 0, and 10 are only part of your class 1. So if we calculate the accuracy for this model, so in that case the accuracy is going to be like this, like suppose this none of the instances has been classified correctly for your class 1, but all of the instances of your class 0 has been classified correctly. So in that case the accuracy is going to be this divided by this total. So what we are getting, 99.9%. So based upon this we can say like our model is performing very, means it is performing very well for this data set, but internally it is working only for one class, it is not working for the another class. So this problem we are having in case of accuracy. So it's work well for your balanced data set, but it is not working for an imbalanced data set, because it's not considering the information how many misclassification is there. It is only considering the information where we have made the correct classification. So now in order to cover this misclassification, we are having some other performance measures also. So first we are going to start with the precision and recall. So the first one is your recall. Before moving to that, let's one more information we need to know. Like this total, this part, this is basically representing the total number of these instances which where the class label is yes, and this is defining the total number of the instances where the actually the class label is no. So so in the if we consider the first part, so in that case the class label is like the for your uh, yes class. So there are total number of the total 26 plus 17, that means 43 number of the instances were having the positive class label. And if you go with this, so in that case here we are having 407 number of the instances were having the negative class. So this is the total summary for your class. Means in total we are having 450 number of the instances. Out of 450, 43 are part of your class yes, and 407 are a part of your class no. And if we go in the column in your this column wise, so in that case we are having this many number of the instances as your positive one, and this many number of the instances as your negative one according to your classifier. So in that case this based upon your classification, the model is saying you are having 33 number of the instances as your positive and 417 number of the instances you are having negative. Now next thing is this recall is basically based upon this recall is basically based, let me write down the number 33. This recall is based upon out of total how many correct prediction is there. Like if I am having 43 number of the instances, so out of 43 number of the instances, how many instances you have identified correctly. So it's going to be out of this 43, how many instances you have classified correctly. So this is your recall. So that you can also see here, 26 divided by 26 plus 70. This going to quantify the performance in terms of your recall. So it's your fraction of all positive instances does the classifier correctly identify as your positive one. So this is your recall. Next one is your okay, this recall is also known as your true positive rate. It is also known as your sensitivity, and it is also known as your probability of the detection. So these are the other name of your recall: true positive rate, sensitivity, and probability of detection. Next, we are moving to your precision. So as this recall were working with respect to the true class label, true this that was working with respect to the total number of the instances which were positive in your data set, and this precision is going to work on the total number of the instances which your classifier has identified as a correct one. So that means instead of moving in this, it is going to work on the column. So that means according to your classifier, this 33 you are saying as your positive one. Out of this 33, this 26 is actually the positive. Actually the actual the this 26 were a positive, so it's going to be a 26 divided by this 33. So this is your precision. So always remember this again, this if you are changing this actual class label and predicted to, so in that case these value are going to be shuffled. But the concept, remember the concept is if you are taking this as a row, so in that case the precision is going to work on a column because this is your predicted yes, and the recall is going to work on the row because this is your actual yes. Okay. Next one is your false positive rate. So like in case of your precision and in case of your recall, in both of the cases we were considering the uh, positive classes, and this false positive rate is basically working with respect to negative classes. So according to false positive rate, it is defining the performance in terms of the what was the total number of the instances that was actually no, but your classifier is saying that the class label is yes. That means the thing is like the person is not having a disease, but your model is saying that the person is having disease. So this is the concept of your false positive rate, not having disease but wrongly you are predicting as a positive one. So it's going to work on this. So this was your total number of your negative instances which are part of your actual data set. Out of this you are saying this 7 as your, means this 7 you have wrongly classified as a positive. So it's going to be 7 divided by 407. So this is a false positive rate. This false positive rate is also known as your specificity, and recall is known as your sensitivity. Next, we are going to visualize like what kind of the relationship we are having between your precision and recall. Whether the case is like if my model is getting high precision, so it's going to be the case like recall is also going to be high, or there is some kind of inverse relationship. So in the in the coming slides we are going to see what kind of the relationship we are having between your precision and recall. Okay, so this distribution you already know because we have already covered this in your very first second slide. Like this red this black dot is basically representing your positive instances, and this white dot is representing your negative instances. Okay, now here we are working with the logistic regression. So in logistic regression, basically what we are going to do is we are going to basically draw a boundary. Now based upon the boundary, one side of the boundary is going to define your positive side, and another side of the boundary is going to define the negative side. So whatever the instances is following into the positive side, so that is your prediction, and whatever the instances is following to the another side, so that is the prediction with respect to a negative one. So this is the so this also we have seen in the last class. So here this part, this black dot is basically denoting your positive one, and it is at the positive side. So that means this is your correct classification, your true positive. Here it's your true negative, because negative has been classified as your negative only. But this part and this part is your incorrect classification, because this is your positive but it is present at your negative side. This is your negative but present at your positive side. Okay, now be as you the one another thing which we need to notice here, that based upon the boundary only we are deciding like what the my model is saying. Okay, now suppose if I adjust my boundary, like if I'm making my boundary at this side, or if I'm making my boundary at this side, means if I'm adjusting the adjusting my boundary, so based upon that adjustment the calculation is going to be the calculated value is going to be different, because based upon your based upon your newly created boundary, the there will be a change in your true positive also, means there will be change in all four values, your true positive, false negative and true negative. Okay, so as these values are going to change, so your precision is also going to change, your recall is going to change, because these value we are calculating based upon this combination only. Okay, now if so this we have already seen, means if this is the boundary, then these value we are having. uh, let's see, if I'm moving toward this, then what is going to happen. So let's see this part first. Okay, like suppose if I'm drawing my boundary here. Okay, so if I'm drawing my boundary at this, instead of this I'm drawing my boundary at this point, so as you can see we are having only one misclassification. So and rest of the instances I have identified correctly. So which of the measures should increase? Post it on this chat box. What should happen if I'm increasing my boundary? So what should be the case? Any of you can answer this on chat box. If I'm increasing the if I'm changing the dimension toward the positive side, then what should be the case, means what it is going to tell you. Okay, then let me summarize it. Okay, so basically if I'm increasing this boundary, if I'm increasing this boundary, so basically you are having only one misclassification, rest of the instances has been classified correctly. In case of your precision, the concept is based upon the total number of the instances which you are saying as a positive, out of that total number of the instances which are actually positive. Okay, so like here in this case, this you have identified as a positive. Out of this, how many was your actually positive? So as you can see here, all of them are your positive only. Only there is one misclassification. So this is going to increase your precision. So if I'm increasing this boundary from this place to this place, if I'm adjusting the boundary from this to this, so basically I'm reducing the misclassifications, like with respect to positive one. So instead of, like, suppose we were earlier we were having total 33 number of the instances have been classified as your positive one. Out of that, 26 were now your positive. Suppose if I'm increasing it, so I have identified 33 as your positive. Out of 33, 32 were actually positive. So now you can see only one is misclassified. So your precision is going to increase. But what will happen with your recall? In recall, it is going to focus on what is your total positive and how many you are actually predicting as a positive. So as we have missed out this instances, this instance also, this instance also, so your recall is going to reduce. So if I am moving in this direction, my precision is going to increase, but my recall is going to reduce. Okay, so let's see this case, same which I have explained. Like here, I have increased, I have adjusted my boundary here. So all of the instances which has been classified positive were actually positive. Means all seven were your positive one. Out of seven, all seven are your positive one. So your precision is now your exactly one. But your recall has been this recall has reduced. Why so? Because some of the instances you have missed out, so that's why your recall has reduced. If we go in the another side, so that means instead of moving in this direction, if I'm moving in at this direction. Okay, so as you can see, all of the instances, like this one, all of the instances you have classified as a positive one. So your recall is going to increase. That means, the suppose we were having 43 total number of the instances as your positive, and all 43 you have identified as a positive. You haven't missed any of the positive as your, or you haven't you are means all positive has been classified as a positive. So your recall is going to increase, but your precision is going to decrease, because according to your model, this is also positive, this is also positive, all these white dots are your positive, but actually this is not your positive one. So your precision is going to reduce. So this thing has been predicted here, like all the 40 15 were your positive, and all 15 you have predicted as a positive, so it's your one. But here in this case, 40, according to your model, all this value were should be positive. All these values should be positive, but actually this 15 were actually positive. So as I'm increasing it, so as I'm moving in this direction, so my precision is increasing. As I'm moving in the other direction, the recall is increasing. Okay, in the another way, in this, if I'm moving this, so my recall is decreasing. If I'm moving in this, my precision is increasing. So it's not always be the case, like if I'm increasing my precision, my recall is also going to increase. So if I'm increasing the same thing, the which we have covered till this point, so if I'm increasing my threshold, so the we will have high value of your precision, but your recall is going to reduce. If I'm decreasing the threshold, so in that case, my recall is going to increase, but my precision is going to decrease. So increment, and next we are going to see what the mean of this threshold. Okay, so okay, before that we will cover this uh, when we need to go for, like, for some of the cases, this recall is very important, and for some of the cases this precision is very important. So here I am going to cover these two cases with one example. So like in case of a recall, like suppose a person is having disease, and that person you have misclassified as it the person is not having disease. So in that case, this misclassification is going to cost you very much. So in case of the, so recall is going to be more useful in a case where the identification of all positive instances is very important. So this will be the case where recall is important. Okay, now next we are moving to a precision oriented application. Like suppose if we are searching a document, suppose if we are performing a Google search, so the important thing is whatever Google is displaying to you, so the all the documents should be relevant. Although some of the document it has missed out, but most of the but the document which the Google is displaying to you, that should be relevant to you. So this is the case where your precision is more important. Like whatever positive you are predicting, all are actually useful for you, all are actually the relevant to your task, although you have missed out some of the points, so it doesn't not matter that much. But whatever you are having, whatever you are getting, that should be the relevant, that should be relevant one. So so based upon the application, sometimes you recall is important, and so based upon the application, sometimes precision is also going to be important. Now if we relate it with in terms of your the like there could be the case where we want both should be the means based upon these two different value, we can't summarize. Like suppose if we are having two different model, and we want to perform the summarization of that model, in that case we want both should be high. So as these two value are quite reverse in nature, so based upon the one value I can't perform this simple comparison, so we will go with your combination of your precision and recall. So this combination we are having in terms of your F measure. So F measure is basically the combination of your precision and recall. Here we are not simply considering the average of your precision and recall, because if we will consider the average of your precision and recall, so in that case one value is going to dominate the other. Like suppose if you are having precision as your 0 and recall as your 1, so in that case you are going to get the value 0.5. And in the reverse case, like suppose the recall is 1 and the precision is 0, so even in that case also you are going to have the value 0.5. But in both the cases, here you are not able, here your recall is 0 and here your precision is 0. So this should not be the case with your model. Means we can't say that this model is very much, means approximately approximately is going to be the better case, or this model is the better one, because here your recall is 0 and here your precision is 0. So we are not going to we are not going for the averaging of your precision or recall in order to calculate a single value for the comparison. So this F1 measure basically consider the harmonic combination of your precision and recall. So this way it is doing it. So 2 into precision into recall divided by precision plus recall. So this way we are calculating your F score. F score is also known as your F1 score. Okay. Now suppose if you wanted to give more weightage to one of the measure, like if you want to give more weightage on your precision, or if you want to give the more weightage to your recall, so for that we are having F beta. So with the help of your beta, we can control the to which measure we want to give more importance. If we are using the value between 0 to 1, so in that case it's going to give more weightage on your precision. And if the value we are taking between 1 to plus infinity, means very large value if we are taking, so in that case it is going to give the more importance on your recall. If we are considering this as equals to 1, so it is going to behave like the same, like 1 plus 1, it's your 2, and this is 1 into precision, it's going to be precision only. Okay, so this way we can also play with your precision and recall. Means we can give, either we can consider the same weightage, or we can based upon the requirement we can give more weightage to one of the measure. So and this way we can calculate we can use the combination of precision recall in order to quantify the performance. Okay, so let's see how this what is working. Okay, so in your last class we have seen up till this point, like we have calculated our confusion matrix. So like for some of the cases there will be a misclassification, for some of the cases there will be a correct classification. So based upon that we have summarized this value. Means we have calculated your true positive, false positive, means all four combination we have calculated. Now based upon all this four combination we can calculate the classification accuracy, that accuracy, precision, recall and F1. Either you can go for the manual calculation, that means you are directly using the this four values. This four value, either you can work with this, or you can use the existing libraries of your Python in order to calculate it. Okay, so here I have calculated in both the way. So these values are with respect to your manual calculation, so that you can fix it. Like here I haven't applied any kind of formatting in order to display it, so that you can do it. And here, based upon this inbuilt function, you can calculate. So whatever way you are going to do it, it is going to be the same only. Okay, so like for your accuracy, it's your 95 90 96 7. So 96, so here also you are getting 96. In this case it is 96 96 we are getting. For your record, it's so 97 97 we are getting. F1 is your 97, here also we are going to get the 97. So in both the cases, whether you are working with this one or whether you are working with this one, it is going to give the same result. So because of time limitation, I'm not covering means how to code it. Just here I'm covering there means there are some function which are available in your Python, so that you can explore it. Like here, accuracy score you can use for the accuracy calculation, precision score for precision, recall score, F1 score. So you can explore it by your own. Okay, next we are going to see your decision threshold. So basically, when I am wearing this decision threshold, so based upon that, it is basically indicating the how confidently your classifier able to predict the positive class. Like because based upon your decision threshold only, we are able to define the classification rule. So how we are defining this classification rule? Like if the value is greater than this, then it's going to be a class 0, or if the value is lesser than this, then it is going to be a part of another class. So this decision threshold basically helping us to set the classification rule for us. Okay, now if we are having different decision threshold value, so based upon this different decision threshold value, you will have a series of your classification outcome. So that with that you can form a curve. So that curve we are going to see. Okay, so like here this is the by default is going to be a zero point 0.5, but this you can also vary, like your 0.7 you can have, or even more than that also you can have. So if I'm setting it as 0.7, so it's quite is compared to this. If I'm very much sure, if I'm very much sure about that the class label is 1, then only I'm going to estimate the class as 1. Otherwise here it is going to be considered as a class 0. Like in case of logistic regression, it is going to predict the probability. So the probability is basically so based upon the probability only we are having the classification. So this is representing that part. Okay, like here we are this I have plotted based upon the this I have plotted for one of the data set that we will see how we have plotted. So here I'm increasing my threshold 30 to 90, I have varied it, and based upon this varied value, here I'm getting this varied precision and varied recall. The different precision and different recall we are getting. So as you can see, as I'm increasing the threshold, so basically as I'm increasing my confidence level, so based upon that my precision is increasing, but my threshold is reducing. Like from 97 it has reached to your 66, and from this 86 it has increased to your 97. So this is the effect of your decision threshold, and these value are basically representing the different threshold. These are just the random value which I have taken. So these are just representing the different threshold that you can use it to test it. Okay, now let me cover this with an. So like can here you can see, like in this case here I have fixed it 0.5. So based upon that I am having only one precision and one recall, and in the another case here I am varying the value from 0.30 to 0.90. So based upon that, the there will be shift in my decision boundary. So if there is a shift, so you will have different precision recall. So this same graph I have pasted in my PPT also. Okay, so that you can also try. Next thing is, either you can go with this manual calculation, that means I'm manually fixing what should be my threshold, or you can use inbuilt functionality of your this inbuilt functionality which is there in your Python in order to draw it. Okay, so in order to do it, you just need to give your predicted you just need to give your class label. Along with that, you also need to give the predicted probability which you are getting with your model. Like in case of your logistic regression, you are getting you are getting the probability, so that probability you are going to supply as an input. So, and this precision recall curve in your, this is a function which you are going to use. So here in precision recall curve, I'm passing my class label. Along with that, I am passing the probability which my model has calculated. So based upon different threshold, it is going to plot the precision and recall. So this is the plotting. Okay, now if we see here, we are having one red circle. So this red circle is basically denoting the if my threshold is 0, that means if I have set my threshold 0, so in that case, for this particular data set, I am having this much of your precision. That means the precision is basically 1, because the all the instances, whatever the value, whatever the probability I am going to get, so all are going to be considered as a positive one. So positive will be a positive. No doubt there will be a misclassification, but positive will be a considered as a, all positive will be a part of your positive. So that's why we were having this one as a recall, but your precision is not going to be that much. Okay, as I am varying the threshold, so based upon this varied threshold, I am increasing my precision. But as I'm increasing my precision, my recall is going to decrease. Our objective is to get this position, but ideally it's not possible. Means ideally it's not possible to get a maximum, means one recall as your one and precision as also one. So this thing I have mentioned here, like this is your ideal case. We want this, but it's quite difficult to get means getting these two value as your one. And this also we have considered, like when the value is 0, that means when the threshold is 0, so in that case I'm getting this much of your precision and this much of your recall. This is the case for your data set which I have used. For your data set, the position could be the means the value could be the another, means this could be at another place. Like here in this particular case, it is approximately like your 0 point, you can consider the 7.8, I think so. So it could be this for your precision, but recall is 1. In another case also, if you're setting this as your 0 on threshold, you are setting at a 0, so recall will be 1, but this precision is going to be different. So that you can try. So that we have already seen. Next we are going for your area under curve and ROC curve. So basically this ROC curve, basically here we are going to plot the value in the form of a curve. And in case of your AUC, basically here we are going to quantify the performance based upon how much area is covered by that curve. So these two are linked. So this AUC and this ROC are both are linked one. So here we are plotting the curve, and whatever area has been covered with that curve, that we are going to calculate, in terms of your AUC. So both part we are going to see. So what this ROC curve is, basically here we are plotting the value in terms of your true positive rate and your false positive rate. Okay, so the false positive that we have considered, like the total number of the negative, out of that total negative, how many is your actually means how many you have misclassified as a positive one. Like that we have already seen what this false positive is. This is your total negative. Out of this total negative, this much you have classified as your positive. So this is your wrong prediction. So this is your false positive rate. And in case of a true positive rate, so this is your total positive. Out of this total positive, this one is this much what you have able to identify. So true positive, so this true positive rate is basically your recall. So this is value of your recall. Now we are going to plot it based upon your different threshold. Then now in this case, how this threshold is working, like suppose this is the this plus is denoting your positive and this minus is denoting your negative class. Now here, based upon my defined criteria, here I am going to draw a boundary. Based on one side of the boundary will be considered as a positive, and the another side of the boundary we are going to consider as a negative. So as the placement of the boundary is going to be different, so the value of your the value of your all four, like your true positive, false positive, true negative, false negative, that all are going to be vary. But here our main interest is to find this false positive, true positive, false negative, and true negative. So based upon that only we are going to quantify. Like suppose we are having this boundary. So based upon this boundary, originally we are having total 12 number of the instances as a positive, but out of 12 I am able to identify 3 as a positive. So this is your true positive. And false positive is one you have misclassified as a positive. So out of 12 negative, one you have misclassified. In the another case, the out of 12, 8 was classified as your positive, and in case of your false positive rate, 3 you have misclassified as a positive. Another case, out of 12, 11 you have classified as a positive, and in case of your false negative rate, 9 out of 12, 9 has been misclassified as a positive. So now based upon these value you are getting this curve. So this is with the one combination, second, third, and fourth combination. So this way we are plotting the ROC curve. Okay. Now, what in case of a ROC curve, what our objective is? Our objective is there should be no misclassification, but all of the instances which were actually positive, that should be identified. So here our objective is to get this line, to get this position. Okay. Now, if your classifier is not is if your classifier is just randomly classifying, it's not able to clearly differentiate between a true positive, between your true positive and false positive instances, means negative instances. So in that case you will have this diagonal boundary. So this is just the random case, it's not able to clearly differentiate it. And if you're moving in this, so there is clear differentiation. And if we are moving in this direction, so that means you are wrongly predicting. That means you're identifying positive as a negative and negative as a positive, and at this line you are not able to clearly differentiate it. Okay. So your objective is to get on this side, because this is means here you are able to able to differentiate between the instances, and here you are going in the reverse direction. So if your model is at this side, so it's considerable, and if you're at this side, so that is not, means we need to perform some adjustment or something wrong with your model. So that yes, your false positive, your negative, means your misclassification should be zero, and all instances which were your positive should be identified as a positive. Next, if we see with respect to your AUC curve, so as I said, in case of your AUC curve, this is going to be the area under the curve. So the curve which your model is drawing, so how much area has been covered by that curve. So this is going to help you calculate your AUC. Like for this case, if you consider this red line, so for this red line, this is the area which is going to be covered. And if we are going to consider this blue line, for the blue line, so this is the area. So if we compare these two cases, so the AUC value for your first will be comparatively lower than the AUC value which you are getting with respect to this one. So that means AUC for this will be higher compared to this. So now next we are going to see this AUC in more detail. Okay. As I said, this AUC basically, AUC is your area under the curve, and it's going to take care about, it's basically going to tell you about how much your model is capable of differentiating between the classes. Means if you are having two class, so how much, means how efficiently it's able to differentiate between class 0 and class 1 instances. Like suppose this is your threshold. Based upon that threshold, you are clearly able to differentiate between your true positive and your true negative. So that means clear separation is there. It's clear separation between a positive class and negative class. So AUC is going to be 1. and the curve is this one, and in that case AUC is going to be 1. But if there is some kind of misclassification, means positive has been classified as your negative, and negative instances has been classified as your positive one, so misclassification we are having at this point, so your ROC will be somewhat like this. So this, now compared to this one, now less means very means there will be sub reduction in AUC. Suppose the reduction is this much, so now your AUC is 0.33% the 30% reduction is there, so it's your 0.7. Okay. Another case, if based upon the boundary, if this is the case, so in that case means both are overlapping. So in that case, your AUC is basically this, just the random guess. Some of the instances randomly you have identified as a positive. Some of the cases you have randomly identified as a negative. So if it's just like a random guess, so means a random guess, that it could be correct also, it could be incorrect also. Okay. So in that case, your AUC is going to be 0.5. Whenever you are having this line, so it's going to be a 0.5. And if it is going below, so that means if all of the instances which were your positive has been classified as your negative, and all of the instances which were your negative has been classified as your positive. So in if you are having this case, so just the reverse prediction you are having. So in that case, your AUC is going to be 0, because not able to cover any of the area using this curve. So your AUC is going to be 0. So ROC curve, this is just I plotted this. So this ROC this ROC curve, this function you can use to calculate your to draw your ROC curve, and this you can use to calculate your AUC score. So let's can explore it. So the summary of this part is like your AUC curve, if the value is close to 0, means, or if even if it is 0, so it's a worst case, and if the value is 1, so the in that case it's going to be the best one. Okay. And here you are going to get the one value. So if you are having this one value, so it will be very means it will be easy for you to perform the comparison between the one model. If you are having multiple values, so in that case it's going to be quite confusing. But if you are having one value, so this make the comparison quite easy. Next advantage, if we consider with respect to ROC curve, is it does not have any bias toward your model. Means it is not like the if you are having the imbalanced data set like this has been written, it's going to perform well on the majority of the classes at the expense of the minority of the classes. So this is not going to be the case for your ROC curve. So this you can use this ROC curve along with the combination of your AUC score, that you can also use to quantify how well your model is working. Okay, now we are moving towards your multi-class classification problem. Okay. Now, in case of your multi-class classification problem, we could have two cases. First one is a multi-class. Multi-class, that means you are going to have more than one classes, like your 0, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, red, black, green. This could be the class. And multi-label classification, that means for an instance, you can have a multiple classes. Like suppose we are having instance 1. So with respect to that instances, we can have the multiple labels. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to cover if we are having the multi-class if we are having the multi-class, so in that case how to work, how we can quantify the performance in that case, so that we are going to see. So again, we need to draw the confusion matrix for your multi-class classification. So again, here I am going to take this row as your true class and the column as your predicted one. Okay. Now, based upon that, this is the distribution of your instances which we are observing which we are observing after your after prediction. This is your case. This row is representing total number of the instances which are a part of your class A. This is your B, this is your C, this is your D, and this is your E. This column is predicting total number of the instances which you have predicted as A. This is your B with respect to C, with respect to D, and with respect to E. Now in case of your binary class classification, we were having clear cut means we were able to calculate this true positive, false positive, true negative, and false negative very easily. But in case of your multi class classification, it's going to be quite complicated one. So like let's see how we are going to calculate all these values. So first, starting with your true positive. So true positive basically defines, actually it was your positive and you're predicting as a actually the class label was your positive and you are also predicting as a positive. Here in this case, it is going to be the class label was your 1A and you're also predicting A. So that going to be this case, the class label was your A and you're also predicting A. For your B, the class label was your B, you're predicting B. This is for your C, and this is for your D, and this is for your E. So these are your correct prediction. Means correct prediction, true positive cases. Now next we need to calculate the other three values, your false negative, false positive, and true negative. So let's see how we can calculate it. Now in order to calculate your false negative, we need to perform the summation of your row, because false negative with respect to like the class label was yes but you are predicting as a no, so that was your false negative. So in order to calculate this false negative, we are going to perform the summation with respect to the row excluding your true positive. The true positive has been already, means this is your correct classification. Here we are going with your incorrect classification. Okay, so in order to calculate your false negative, we need to perform the summation of your row in in order to calculate your false negative. We are going to perform the summation of your column. That means the instances which your model is predicting as a positive, but actually it was your negative. Okay, so this is your false negative. Next, in with respect to your true negative is going to be the summation of all the value except the row and column. So this way we are going to calculate it. So let's see how it is. Like suppose if I want to calculate, if we want to consider this false negative with respect to A, like now it's going to be the class basis. Okay, so in order to calculate the false negative, it's going to be total number of this summation of your row except this one. This is your false negative. Okay, for your false positive, it's going to be the summation of your, it's going to be the summation of your column except this one. So this is going to be your false negative, and this is going to be your false positive. And in order to calculate this true negative, it's going to be summation of all the rows and all the column except the class for which you are calculating. Suppose we are calculating for A only, so I am not going to consider this row, I am not going to consider this column, I'm not going to consider this. All value are going to be your true negative. So as you are having the value of your true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative, you are able to figure out. So now we can use this value for the calculation. Like here it has been, this is for your class B. Like for your class B, this was your class B. So for your class B, if I want to calculate your true negative, so I'm not going to consider this row, I'm not going to consider this column, and rest of the values are going to be going to represent your true negative value. Now how to calculate it? Now like for your suppose if it's your precision and you want to calculate the precision for your class A, so it's going to be the true positive divided by true positive plus your false positive. So false positive was your So it's going to be your true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So false positive was this case. So it's going to be your true positive divided by true positive plus this all. From this all value are going to be a part of this. So this is the case. So this same way you can calculate for the other classes also. When you can calculate your recall also. So recall, it's your going to be a true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. So as we were going for your precision, we were going with your row. In case of a recall, we will with respect to precision, we were going with your column. In case of a recall, we will go with your row. And in order to calculate the accuracy is the correct prediction divided by the total. So if we consider for this whole model, if we consider, so it's going to be this divided by total. And if you want to calculate the precision for your A, so it's going to 25 divided by this total. Recall, it's if suppose if you are calculating for your class B, so it's going to be 32 divided by 32 plus 3 plus 4. So this way we are calculating your classification. Let's see, like here, it has been calculated your class wise. Class with respect to class 0, with respect to your class 0 recall, with respect to class 0 F score, the same we are calculating for a one for your class 1 also, and class uh, F1 score with respect to your class 1 means all these value we are calculating with respect to all the classes. Okay, so now we can start. We can stop at this point. So one more part is left, but in order to complete it, I need another 15 to 20 minutes. So either we can stop it. Okay, so here I'm going to take questions. So false positive and false negative is not clear. So basically, in case of your false positive, you can remember it like this. The false positive, what this false positive is in both the cases, false positive and false negative, both are false. That means you are making the wrong prediction. If we see this false positive, so that means you have wrongly predicted some instance as a positive. This is your false positive. And if we say this false negative, so that means some of the instances you have wrongly predicted as a negative. So when we are going to say the wrongly predicted as a positive, that means the class was your no, but the class label was your no, but you are predicting as a yes. So this is your wrong prediction with respect to the positive, means you are wrongly predicting as a positive. In case of your false negative, wrongly wrongly predicting as a no, that means originally the class label was yes, but you are predicting wrongly as a no. So that let me go to this point. Here it will be clear. Like there was a question related to your false positive and false negative. So this I hope this true positive and true negative is clear. I'm going to clear this false positive and false negative. Okay, in both of the cases, whether it's your false positive or false negative, or whether it's your false positive, in both of the cases there is a wrong prediction. Now we need to figure out what kind of the wrong prediction is there. So as it's your positive and negative class, so that means positive and negative class, that means some of the positive instances you have predicted as a negative, and some of the negative instances you have predicted as a positive. And now in just to remember it, I'm mentioning it. So this false positive means wrongly predicted as a positive. If it is wrongly predicted as a positive, that means this is the case, wrongly predicted as a positive, so it's your false positive. And here in case of your false negative, wrongly predicted as a negative. That means originally the class was yes, but you are predicting as a note. So this is your false negative. So this way you can remember. In both the cases, you are having wrong prediction, but here wrongly predicting as a positive. That means originally was your no, but you are predicting yes. And in case of your false negative, wrongly predicted as a negative. So that means originally it was your yes. So, is there any other question?
I think no any other questions, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay. So now we can close it, or
Yeah, ma'am.
okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.